Many of you will remember at the start of the pandemic, was it about 3, maybe going 4 years ago? Possibly 3 years. It's amazing how we lose track of time. And I did these Christmas trees. I did 2 of them. And this has received so many millions and millions of views. It's incredible. And at the time, you won't believe, people actually wrote into me and said, you're a fool. You know, who would use Christmas trees to make bonsai? But now looking at YouTube, I see a lot of other channels copying me and using Christmas trees as bonsai. So I'm proud to say that I more or less instigated this using these common Christmas trees. The botanical name is Picea Albertiana conica, dwarf Alberta spruce. And they are rather slow growing. I've got some which I've had for 38 years and they're about 2 meter tall. And the trouble is, if you don't clean it, the insides die. What I want to talk about this one is a follow-up of this tree. Mind you, I've refrained from selling it. The number of people who come on the nursery and say, oh, this was the tree you did on YouTube video, can I buy it? But I said no. So let's show you what's happening to it. Although it was wired initially, I did take the wires off. The ends of the branches are shooting up. This is the habit that most trees have. They tend to face the light. I've seen cryptomerias in Japan and I've seen cedar trees in this country, in the UK, where the branches go up and then suddenly a branch comes up at the side. You know, so they are all fighting for the light. So this is exactly the same thing that's happening. It's okay, you see they're all doing that. But I think it's better to have a classic tree image like that. So I'm going to rewire these branches and make sure that the branches hang down. So with Josh's help, we're going to wire all these together and we will see what happens. Okay, so we will proceed to wire them and get rid of this ugly, what you call it, U-bend as it were. And we will improve this tree. So you see we've taken these ends out, so they've straightened it. And we've got those to do. And we're going to wire some of the pads like so. And it will begin to look like a different tree. So who says you can't use Christmas trees for bonsai? So I've got Josh to do some of the wiring so you can see what we've done. We've flattened the ends. So I just tidy up a bit of the odd twigs that we don't need. Remember that the ends always need to be tipped so that it doesn't get too bushy and too long. Things that are hanging down we'll take off. These can be wired to make pads, so we'll do that with a bit of detail later. It's almost like pruning deciduous trees, but prune you must, otherwise you lose control. So again, the object is to leave space between branches. Space between branches. So now we've got so far, we've got to thin this a bit, so that can be wired down like that. I don't want it to look like a feather sticking out of your head. So these have all got to be wired. There may be more than we need, so I can see straight away that there is one too many there. So place it in position, so that's okay. That one, I'm not sure. That one can be wired to the back, or is it too heavy? We've got to be careful about inverse taper. If you leave too many branches to grow, you can get inverse taper. So this can become another leader, so I've got to be careful of that. So I think I can safely take this out. Can you see what I'm doing? Take that out, as much as that. So once you've taken that out, this is still the front of the tree. So these are going to be wired. So we're going to open this out a bit. So you don't notice that I've actually taken quite a major chunk out. So that's all right. And that can come out as well. So we've taken about 3 main chunks completely out. So we prevent inverse taper. They always try to make a new leader, so that's what we have to avoid happening. Even the very top we would probably take out to stop it reaching the sky. So these will all be wired. So I got Josh to do some wiring. So these have all been wired, every single branch wired. And we have had to tin it a bit. So you can see this is the amount we took off. And you can see how small the needles are. Normally if you grow them as Christmas trees, the needles get very large and long, but by keeping it in a pot, they've reduced in size. Now this is a lovely tree. Some of you may criticize and say this is a faulty tree because you've got too many branches here and there's no balancing branch there. But because there are a lot of branches, the tree is made to lean this way. So this is what you would find in nature as well. So there are spaces between the tiers of branches, and it looks like a tall redwood or a stately park tree. And to remind you, we keep making these because customers do ask us to sell them to enjoy. So this is one that I made about a year ago, and the wires are still on. And to remind you, this tree was made from this material. We still have quite a few of this. And this is the raw material from which this is made. So you can look at it. We wouldn't let it go that tall. We can make it tall if we wish. So from this to this in 3 years. And there are smaller versions as well. On our workshops and classes, we are very fond of doing these. I did a twin trunk only yesterday. So you get them in all sizes, and they are extremely suitable for making into bonsai. So I hope you can enjoy this. And look at the color of the trunk, lovely silver gray. Nice, as a form of quite a lovely tree.